Tonight's story is
Dad.
Papa Put a Man on the Moon. The full moon rises high over the hill like a lantern shining at the sea.
See.
Papa and I sit side by side waiting until the bright halo arcs high over our heads. Like Noah's Ark, yes.
Zoom.
When Papa points, I squint to find the sea of tranquility, where the newsman, Mr. Cronkite, said men will one day stand on the surface of the moon. I stretch my hand out straight as I can, but the moon's too far away to imagine an ordinary man reaching out to touch its face. Just as easy as I touch my Papa's. 3 days ago, Mama whispered to me, Papa's job at the mill changed, and now he's doing important government work. The fabric he weaves is one layer in the spacesuit our astronauts wear. I ask him, Papa, aren't you proud? You work for the president. Papa closes his eyes and leans back on the steps. Only proud to make a living, Marthana. Only proud to make a living. But I knew better. We hear it on the news each night, and then chatter at the supermarket each Saturday. Our little mill village is one piece of something big, bigger than we ever dared to think we could be. I can't help but let that make me feel proud. When it's time for bed, Papa takes my toothbrush and bobbles it just out to reach, pretending it's twirling through zero gravity, like we saw the Apollo astronauts do on TV. To the moon, I cry, as he snatches me up, floating me to bed with twists and turns. I fall asleep dreaming and I'm drifting through the stars. That spring I walk with Papa from the mill each night, my heart heavy as blossoms on dogwood trees. Do you think we'll make it to the moon, Papa? Nothing to do but watch and see, he says. But time passes slowly and my hope unravels like a string. I'd wish we'd hurry. Finally, one day, come summer, 3 astronauts blast off, and this time, Mr. Cronkite says, they're going for the moon. Watching the news, I can practically feel the rumble of engines and the rush of air from the explosions that push that rocket into the heavens. 4 days later, they're all set. When Papa turns that TV set on, I leave my usual spot on the floor and nestle onto the couch beside him. Papa squishes closer to Mama, and together we listen as the lunar module descends toward the moon. When Walter Cronkite takes off his glasses, repeating, oh boy, my heart starts beating. That same rhythm. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The eagle has landed. Later, I hold my breath as Neil Armstrong steps from the ladder and lands where no man has stood. Not ever before.
No.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Papa doesn't say a word, and I don't break his quiet with what I'm thinking, but I know it's true anyway. Somewhere in that spacesuit, in the thick layers protecting Mr. Armstrong, are threads my Papa touched. Threads he wove together into sheets of fabric, the same fabric keeping those astronauts alive in outer space. Those threads go from Papa, a man whose feet have hardly left our hill, to our astronauts now leaving their footprints in moon dust. Papa says he's just making a living, but I know better. No need to shout it loud. It's right there on TV for the world to see. My Papa put a man on the moon. In 1962, in an effort to rally the nation around the Apollo space program, President John F. Kennedy declared, we choose to go to the moon in this decade. And the federal government invested billions of dollars and hired factories across the United States to build each piece of equipment needed to make this bold mission a reality. One of those factories was a J.P. Stevens textile mill in Slater, South Carolina, where my own grandparents, parents, aunts, and uncles all worked at one time or another. In the 1960s, this mill began producing better cloth, a fiberglass thread fabric pioneered by Dr. Frederick Dawn, a NASA textile expert. This fabric would become one of the layers in the Apollo spacesuits. At the time, the mill workers who made this fabric felt they were simply doing their jobs, making an honest living in textiles. But when the mission was finally accomplished and Neil Armstrong stepped onto the surface of the moon, they knew that they had contributed to a monumental American achievement. And I wrote this book to honor the men, women, and communities across the United States that made the moon landing possible through their work ethic and dedication. Noah, you want to know something?
Yes.
There were other people that landed on the moon.
Noah.
Yeah. You want to know something funny?
Dad.
Growing up, whenever I was asked where am I going, I used to say to the moon.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol?
Yes.
You want to read Paw Patrol?
Yes.
Okay, we'll read Paw Patrol. You enjoyed that story?
Yes. And